Welcome to Health Coach for Women. Intentional living for more happiness and fulfillment in your everyday life with your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker. Join Marsha as she shares her own personal wellness journey, as well as stories from our guests that will enlighten and inspire you to move towards better health and happiness. Now, here's your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Health Coach for Women. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today in this episode, I want to talk to you about how to filter the noise for inner peace. And we know right now that we can use that a great deal. So let me just start out with a quote by saying, "Be still, because in stillness will bring clarity." And with that quote, it's when we are learned to be still, when we learn to filter out the noise, when we are able to control, manage the things that we view, watch, or the things, the people, as well as people that we are around, we can then find what we are searching for. And what do people want most? I would say more than anything, people want happiness, right? They want to be healthy, of course. That's number one. They want that health. But I take that back. To be healthy, but included in that would be happiness. So that is what most people want. Most people just want to be happy. And when you are happy with yourself, there is that sense of inner peace. There is that sense of peace, calm, and acceptance, and just being content with everything that you have, right? With everything that you have right now, with everything that you have achieved and accomplished thus far. And I'm not talking about material things. Anything that I'm referring to, I'm talking about with ourselves, right? That inner self. That's what I'm talking about. And so how can we do that? How can we find a way to filter out the noise and to really just be still, right? For that inner peace. What is going to bring that? Let's start off by taking a break from social media. Right? We can take a break from social media. We're always on our phones, right? We're always on our phones, checking our Instagram or Facebook or our emails, right? We do this often, right? But sometimes we have to set boundaries. We got to set boundaries. So taking a break from social media, right? When do you stop looking at your phone? What time do you stop? When do you actually get off of Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever platform you use? When do you actually take a break? How many hours do you spend on social media each day? These are the questions you need to ask yourself. And when does it become too much, when you find that you are obsessing? So let's take a look at that, right? Taking a break from social media and spend that other time doing something else. Spending more time with your family, having more intimate conversations with your loved ones, right? Let's take a moment to take a break from social media. And that's one way we can filter out the noise. Another thing is the news, mainstream media. I'm always talking about mainstream media, that the news that we watch is intentional, right? Some may agree and may not agree. It's intentional what you see on the television, right? And it is intentional because there is an agenda, there is a purpose for everything. And so what does that do for our mind when we are constantly seeing images of war, images of people dying, right? Images of certain things of maybe where I really don't want to go on that topic, but wearing the mask, right? And if you don't wear the mask, the repercussions of that, and you should, and the whole thing with that. Also, what about when we are watching the news? I mean, think about it. When we watch the news, for let's say it's an hour segment, how much of that hour segment is all positive news? I want you to do that. I want you to do it. I want you to watch the news. I mean, even I'm telling you not to watch the news, but if you happen to go ahead and watch the news anyway, if you just happen to watch the news, I want you to really pay attention to how much of the news is something positive and uplifting. And if you're paying attention, you will see that maybe if you watch this is a Nightline, I think, or something like that, or ABC World News, one of them anyway. But you will see only there's a good story towards the very end of the news broadcast, right? They give you one little snippet, maybe of a child, she received an organ donor, and now, she's able to thrive and flourish and everyone's happy. I'm just making something up, right? And so we get these, or an act of humanity, right? An act of humanity. Someone went in and saved a person out of a pond, a lake, saved them and their dog. I don't know. I'm just making things up. This you would see at the very end, right? After they done fooled your head with all this other negative stuff, all this other sad, depressing things that you've just visually watched and heard, right? And so, but you get this one little snippet of positivity, one little snippet of something positive. Do you think that is by coincidence, or do you think it's intentional? I'll leave it to you to answer. You be the judge. So take a break from social media, right? Avoid the news. And the other thing I would say, for you to find that place of inner peace, find your joy. Find your joy. Well, someone may be asking, well, how can I find my joy? Like, what's your hobby? What is it that you like to do? What makes you feel good and alive, right? Things like that. What things you enjoy doing the most that maybe you've done buried away years ago and that you really enjoy doing, right? And this can be a perfect time for you to do that, to get back into whatever your creative self that you had once before. Maybe you can bring that alive, bring that back to life again. Maybe it's just volunteering, going to the nursing homes and being a companion and visiting those people, or visiting sick children in a hospital. Whatever it is that brings you your joy, your happiness, start doing those things again. Even if you set aside, okay, one day out of the week, for maybe 30 minutes to an hour, this is what I'm going to dedicate myself to. This is what I'm going to commit to. So for me, it's just like, for me, once a week, I dedicate myself to commit to doing 30 minutes of my podcast, because I know the importance of it, not just for myself, but what it can do for others, right? And so that's why I have my podcast. This is my joy, my happiness. This is what I like to do. And so are there days when I'm tired and I don't feel like doing it? Of course. I'm human, right? And there's days when I don't feel like doing it, or there's days when I'm just like, what am I going to talk about today? I don't always have a topic to talk about, right? But then something will happen, or I'll read something, or I'll see something, and this is how I will come up with a topic. And so that is why, for me, I'm dedicated to doing this podcast. Okay. So, what is another thing that we can do to bring that into peace? Gossiping. Let us focus on that one for a quick minute. Gossiping. We gotta find a way to avoid gossip, especially in the workplace. And I notice that happens a lot in the workplace. There's a lot of gossiping, right, about what this one did and what this one didn't do, or whatever. And you can find yourself being pulled into that, but then you have to remove yourself out of that, or make no comment at all, and just excuse yourself, right? Find whatever it is that you do to avoid it, and just remove yourself from that, right? Now, if you're talking about something happy at work, oh, such and such got a promotion. Hey, that's something good. That's something positive. Hey, Sally got a promotion today. Good for her. Awesome, right? And so we have to do the things that we need to do for ourselves that is going to keep our mind in a positive state of mind. And so avoiding gossip, right? Avoiding gossip. And another thing is taking the time to just be still, taking the time to just be still. And so what do I mean by that? I mean, taking a moment to just do absolutely nothing, and to just be still and reflect inward, right? Or just being still and enjoying looking outside the window, right? I have windows over here, I have windows over here, but this view in front of me over here, I'm able to see the trees and the ice melting from off of the house next door. And behind me, I have the light. I know I should probably close it, but I like it. I love light. So I'm always opening up all my blind, or everywhere, all the curtains always opened up, because I love the light coming in. And so that does something for me. And that's what I love to do. Find whatever it is that you enjoy to do, right? But be still. And so by being still, I said that being still brings clarity. So being still brings clarity when we're not really focused on anything else, but just being in the moment. Just being in the moment of now, living in the moment of now, and appreciating all that surrounds you, appreciating all that surrounds you, right? And it can be whatever, the table, the chair, the furniture, your plants in the house, maybe the trees outside, the squirrels running up in the trees, or the deers passing by, whatever it is. Just being still in that moment, being present and living in the now. That's so important. I can't stress how important that is, because we get so caught up in the everyday life, right? We get so caught up in everything that's going around outside. And if I haven't mentioned this to you before, that your external world impacts your internal. And this is a fact. Your external environment impacts your internal environment. So that includes your cells, that includes your hormone, that includes everything, right? And so we need to be mindful of these things when we are focusing our intentions on the things that are not in our best interest, and is not in alignment with what we are trying to achieve, which is better health, right? Better health, better wealth, better mindset, abundance. We have to change the way that we think, right? And we have to change the way we think. And it starts by being still, being present, being in the now. That's important. And with that comes reflection, right? With that comes reflection. So reflecting inward of self, getting to understand and know thyself, That's important. That's important because when you know yourself, right, you know what you will accept and will not accept in a workplace, in a relationship, friends, family. That's why it's important to set those boundaries. So reflect inward. Reflect inward. Okay. And so it's through that stillness, it's through the reflection, self-reflection, that you can find that inner peace. Because when you can accept and know your truth, and this is leading me into the next one, what is your truth? So when you are able to be still and reflect inward, you get to understand yourself, get to know thyself, and understand who you are, right? Understand who you are. And that sets the conditions and boundaries for the things that you will accept and will not accept. It also sets the atmosphere of who you're choosing to be around, right? Your external environment. You have to think about that for a moment. So reflect inward, get to know thyself, because that also plays a role in how we communicate with others and how we interact with others as well. Because when you can accept yourself and understand who you are, with that, it brings more clarity, which is self-awareness. That is important. And with self-awareness, you will evolve into the person who you were meant to be, who you were meant to become. So it's important that you get to know thyself. You've been in a breakup, in a situation, you had a relationship, maybe you've no longer in a relationship or whatever, you're going through a divorce and it's a tough time. But sit back and reflect, right? Sit back and reflect. Don't have a pity party. Okay, if you want to have a pity party, that will be up to you. Don't have a pity party, you know? But if you do, don't stay in that too long, okay? Don't sit in it too long. Don't stay in it too long. And anything that I'm telling you, anything that, I may come across harsh if I say, oh, don't have a pity party. Someone else will receive it and say, oh, I just had a divorce. You telling me not to have a pity party? Yeah, I'm telling you not to have a pity party. But if you need to, you cry and you get it out. I would never tell you to hold in your emotions of being sad or being tearful and crying. That's a part of our emotions. That's a part of who we are. But it is when we are able to manage those emotions where we can put a grasp on it, where we are not now losing touch of who we are, when we are not losing ourselves to who we are, who we were meant to be, and becoming someone else, and now dipping into this slope, dipping into a slope of depression. No, that's not what we want. That's not what we want. And anything that I can talk about and I tell you about is because I myself have been through it. So I'm not going to tell you something that I myself have not been through, right? I've been through slumps, those slumps of in and out of bad relationships, dealing with depression, anxiety. I've dealt with hormonal health issues, right? If you don't know my story, I've talked about it before. Financial issues. I've been through many of the things of life's challenges that life had to throw my way. And so I had to find a way to maneuver and adapt and go through the whole process, the whole journey of getting to know myself. And so this is why I mentioned this to you. So when you are able to know and understand your truth, then you can then become the person that you were meant to be. And so this is what it is to be able to have that inner peace, because nothing happens overnight, right? Everything is a work in progress. Everyone's journey health journey, spiritual journey, wellness journey, whatever it is. Everyone's journey is going to be different, but you can use the same strategies and tools to help you along the way to get you to where you need to be, right? And so that is why it's so important. That is why it is so important to have that inner peace, to find inner peace. And it does wonders for your mindset, right? And when you can enjoy that and enjoy the bliss of that, you are more inclined, or you're able to make better decisions, right? And you're in that place of happy moment. You're in that place of happy, because you have to be happy with yourself. If you're not happy with yourself, how can you be happy with anything else? Yeah, fancy car, new handbag, name brand expensive shoes, they're all material. And I know for some people this is how they are able to, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. What I'm saying is that the material things are just, it's something that we look at, that we can visually see and say, okay, this is for what it shows. What for yourself is like, okay, I have this, and this is what I'm able to obtain, and it looks like success, right? But what is the true success? What is true success? And it could be different for you and I'm pointing at myself saying you, but but it can be different for each and every one of us. My success may not be the same as your success. And I use this example because everyone's goals and desires are different. And so for someone else, just who had a hard time conceiving, and now they're finally pregnant, or they finally gave birth to a healthy child. That is the success and the dream that they've been desiring for so long. And it makes them so happy, and nothing else brings them more joy than that little healthy baby that they have, because it's what they wanted for so long. So nothing else matters. So everyone have their own goals, desires, and different ideas of success. And for each one, it'll be different, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we need to be able to find our spot, find our own, on our own journey, to be able to achieve that inner peace that we are seeking, to be happy. And you can have that, because happiness is a choice, right? And happiness is always begin within, right? And like, this is where I'm talking about the material things of this world, that's just the material things that looks good, right? And so that's not where the true happiness lies. The true happiness lies within yourself and how you feel about yourself. And I always say that because there's people who are wealthy and famous, and they are not happy. They have houses, $1 million homes, different cars, and all kind of stuff. Have so much that someone else would be like, oh my gosh, I would be so happy if I had that. But they're not. And you hear about some of these people who's taken their own lives. Why? And they had so much. They had successful businesses going. Just so much of what, the average person would be like, this is awesome. This is, what could have been so bad? But when you're not happy within, everything else is irrelevant. Everything else is truly irrelevant. And so this is how if we can learn to filter out the noise, right? Not compare ourselves to other people, And some people, they do that. They may compare themselves what others have and what they don't have. Get out of that mindset of comparing. Get out of that mindset of comparing. Your goal, your path, your journey is for whatever you want and you desire for yourself, right? And so then through that process, it comes the things that we need to do, and using the tools of being mindful, expressing gratitude, right? Not comparing, living in I'm trying to find the right wording to say this. Living in a heart space of love, right? Living in this heart space of love, where it gives us so much. It gives us so much. And in us giving us so much, we can give it back in return to others. And I think that was all I had to say for you. I had no idea what I was going to talk about today. Like I do sometimes, almost probably every week. But there's always something that seems to come up right at the last moment or something, or I'll see something and I'm like, yep, that's it. So yes. So this is how we can filter out the noise. This is how we can filter out the noise and to achieve inner peace, to have that inner peace, right? Take a break from social media, avoid the news, find your joy, your hobby, your interests, get back to that. Avoid gossiping in the workplace or wherever. Avoid that, all that negative talk. Be still, right? Be still to bring that clarity. Be still. And in that, I would say you can do some meditation, right? Because that's during that time, you're able to be still, or even during your prayer, right? Even during your prayer, but to be still and be in the moment of now, being present in the now. And that is what's going to help you. And also to be able to reflect inward of self, reflecting inward, and to know your truth, to stand in your truth, walk in your truth. That is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I think I want to do something where each week rather, I think I want something, maybe I can start out with a quote. What do you guys think? I think I want to start out with doing a quote. I love quotes. I really do. I love quotes. But I think right now during this time, there's so much going on, and some people are having a hard time. Not everyone. Some people are somewhere else because they have shifted their mindset as well as their spirituality. So they may not be experiencing what others are experiencing. And so the goal is to be able to operate at a different level of higher vibration, or a higher level of knowing, a higher level of awareness, right? And that moment of loving, being in the heart space of loving, rather than being in a heart space of fear. Okay, so that is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening to Health Coach for Women with your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to rate, subscribe, and review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate that effort. Until next time.